I never meant for it to go this far. What started as payback turned into something darker, and now everyone says I'm the monster. Maybe they're right. Maybe I deserve it. But you don't know what really happened. Jade strutted into the company holiday party with her boyfriend, except the man on her arm wasn't Mark, the guy we all knew, the one secretly planning to propose to her at Christmas. No. This was her side piece. And when Mark finally confronted her, hoping for some kind of explanation, she laughed. Actually laughed. She looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You think I'd marry you? You're just practice for the real thing." He froze. Silent. Shattered. That was 11 months ago. And last night? I watched Jade being escorted out of the courthouse in handcuffs while her mother sobbed on the steps. Flashback to almost a year earlier. I was at Sunday brunch with the girls, bottomless mimosas flowing, when Jade's phone lit up on the table while she was in the bathroom. A text from someone named Dean. Eggplant emoji. My stomach dropped. Because here's the thing, Jade's boyfriend, her real boyfriend, is Mark. And Mark? He's not just a good guy. He's the kind of man who texts, "Did you get home safe?" and actually waits until you reply before he sleeps. The man brought all of us, her friends, pink roses on Valentine's Day just because he wanted to thank us for keeping Jade glowing. He was perfect. So when I saw those texts, I couldn't just sit there. I grabbed her phone and the receipts kept pouring in, months of messages. Hotel meetups, bathroom mirror selfies, late night can't wait to taste you again texts. It was disgusting. By the time Jade came back from fixing her lip gloss, we'd screenshotted everything. We smiled like nothing happened, but inside I was burning. Then she casually mentioned that Mark wouldn't be at the holiday party because of a work emergency. And that's when we knew she was bringing Dean. The next day, we called an emergency meeting with Mark at this little aesthetic matcha spot in Brooklyn. He showed up in his usual hoodie, confused why we dragged him out. Watching his face collapse as he scrolled through the screenshots, it broke me. This 6'2" golden retriever of a man sat there staring at his untouched matcha, whispering, "I was going to propose at Christmas." Tears welled in his eyes. And right there, I wanted to find Jade and rip the extensions out of her head. Because here was a man who sat through Love Island marathons with us without complaining. A man secretly making Pinterest boards for their wedding. And Jade was out here playing games with some second-rate wannabe. That's when Eve's eyes lit up. The same spark she had when we orchestrated that takedown of her toxic ex. Pure mastermind energy. She leaned across the table and asked him, "Mark, do you trust us?" He nodded, broken. "Good. Block out Saturday. Because we're about to serve." What followed was our own personal revenge montage. Madison took him to her high-end barber in Soho, fresh fade, beard trim, the works. His jawline? Suddenly criminal. Rachel dragged him through Nordstrom until we found the perfect navy suit that hugged his shoulders in ways that made us all gasp. I handled his confidence coaching at my Pilates studio, making him strut between reformers while I shouted, "You're not a snack, you're the whole damn meal." And Eve? She found the perfect date, a stunning marketing director who runs marathons and has legs for days. Someone who would make Jade want to crawl into a hole and never come out. By Saturday we had Mark polished, cologned, styled, Rolex borrowed, confidence rebuilt. When he walked into Madison's penthouse that night, he wasn't our sad bestie anymore. He looked like he belonged on a Times Square billboard. And when the holiday party came, oh, it was cinematic. Our inside sources blew up the group chat. Jade showed up with Dean, trying to pass him off as Mark. Her boss was thrilled to finally meet the guy she always bragged about. Dean in his poorly fitted suit nodded along like he had any clue about Mark's startup. And then the doors opened. Mark walked in. With his stunning date on his arm, glowing like pure money, like he owned the room. The silence was so thick you could hear glasses clinking. Jade's face? It was a masterpiece. Confusion. Shock. Humiliation. Her boss stared back and forth between the two men like he was watching a soap opera. Dean looked lost, like he wanted to melt into the carpet. And Mark? He didn't scream. He didn't humiliate her. He just radiated. Polite. Charming. Devastating. While Jade's entire carefully crafted world collapsed in front of everyone. It was chef's kiss. The fallout was brutal. Dean disappeared. Jade panicked, whisper yelling excuses like, "Babe, how could I tell my VP I brought my side guy?" Her co-workers ate it up. Someone tweeted she locked herself in a bathroom stall sobbing. Then she stormed out screaming, "You ruined everything. You'll regret this." At the time I thought it was just a tantrum. I had no idea how literal she meant those words. Because the next morning my phone showed 47 missed calls from Jade. And then pounding on my apartment door. Hard enough to shake the frame. I looked through the peephole and there she was, mascara streaked, hair a mess, still in her wrinkled party dress. She started screaming, demanding I open up. My neighbor peeked out down the hall. My hands shook as I texted the group chat. Code red. "Jade's here. She's losing it." Eve shot back instantly. "Are you recording? Do not engage." Madison said security was on the way. The pounding grew violent. Kicking. Screaming. Until two guards dragged her away as she shrieked that we ruined her life, that her boss thought she was trash now. I sat on my couch afterward trembling, adrenaline crashing so hard I felt sick. And it wasn't just me. Mark texted saying she showed up at his place at 6 in the morning, same routine. Threats. Screaming. 3 hours later, we were back at Madison's penthouse for another emergency summit. Mark pulled up doorbell cam footage of Jade raging outside his apartment, shouting that she was going to destroy everything he loved. Eve immediately started screenshotting everything. Rachel reminded us, Jade knows where we all work. The room went quiet. Mark looked exhausted, hollow. He admitted he couldn't even focus on the investor pitch he had coming up Tuesday. He said Victoria, his date from the party, had texted to check on him. She had no idea about the chaos she'd walked into. And he looked so grateful that she was being kind anyway. Monday morning, I walked into the garage under my Pilates studio, coffee in hand, and froze. My car, someone had carved a word into the hood. Deep scratches. The kind you can't just buff out. Security cameras? Malfunctioning. Just that night. My boss had already seen it when she parked, and she gently asked if I wanted to file a police report. I felt sick. And I wasn't the only one. At Eve's law firm, reception called her. Someone named Jade Thompson was downstairs, screaming in the marble lobby that Eve was a corporate spy who stole confidential documents. Security stopped her from coming up, but not before half the building heard her ranting. Rachel? Her Instagram got bombarded by dozens of fake accounts, spewing vile messages and targeting her parents' family restaurant in Queens. Threats about leaving fake reviews. She was shaking when she showed us the screenshots. By that night, we were all camped out at Madison's penthouse. Blinds drawn. Takeout containers untouched. Every phone ping made us jump. Mark sat on the couch staring blankly at his laptop. When he mentioned Jade still had a key to his apartment, Eve immediately started calling locksmiths. Rachel ordered pizza no one touched. And by midnight, we'd all collapsed in Madison's living room together, too scared to go home. Tuesday morning was supposed to be big. Mark's investor meeting at 9 a.m. He left in his sharpest suit, trying to hide how much his hands shook while he grabbed his coffee. 2 hours later, my phone blew up. The meeting tanked. Someone had sent his investors doctored screenshots, fake texts making it look like Mark was abusive to Jade. Right there, in front of the entire investor panel, the lead guy asked him about reputation risks. Mark had 48 hours to prove the screenshots were fake or watch his funding disappear. While we were still reeling, Madison called from her office bathroom in tears. Her LinkedIn had been hacked, sending messages to her CEO accusing her of stealing company money. Even though IT proved it wasn't her, HR scheduled a meeting. 7 spotless years at that company, and now co-workers were side-eyeing her in the halls. I couldn't stop thinking, how was Jade coordinating this so perfectly? Even down to details like the Tom Ford cologne we picked for Mark's revenge glow-up? How did she know? Mark showed up back at Madison's later, looking like a ghost. He pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket and set it on the coffee table. Inside the ring. A princess-cut diamond, flawless, engraved inside with "Forever Starts Today M." The ring he'd planned to give Jade at Christmas. He stared at it like it burned his fingers. Then his phone buzzed. A LinkedIn message from Dean. Dean claimed he had no idea about Mark. Jade had told him Mark was just a roommate. He sent screenshots. He sounded scared, admitting Jade had been blowing up his phone too since the party. Eve checked his profile. Insurance guy from Jersey looked normal enough. But Mark didn't care. He's just another one she lied to, he muttered. Wednesday morning it was my turn. My boss called me in, face pale. A formal complaint had been filed against me with the Better Business Bureau, inappropriate conduct. Overnight, fake Yelp reviews popped up, accusing me of things that never happened. 4 years building my client base, and suddenly I was being documented like a criminal. Rachel texted, she'd found something. Since she'd set up Jade's work laptop last year, she still had access to the cloud backup. And Jade? She'd been using that work laptop for personal emails, including all the ones with Dean. Eve told us, document. Don't touch. Legal gray area. That night, I lay in bed wide-eyed, jumping at every car that passed. Around 3 a.m., Mark texted from a hotel. Someone had tried his door handle. Security footage caught a hooded figure, face hidden. Thursday, Madison had her HR meeting. They confirmed the hack wasn't hers but suggested paid leave. Translation, her reputation was trashed anyway. Eve's day? Worse. Building security called her. They'd received a bomb threat email with her name in it. The entire 47-story skyscraper evacuated. The FBI and bomb squad swarmed in. This wasn't harassment anymore. It was federal territory. That afternoon, 2 agents showed up at Eve's office. They asked about Jade, about the party, about every single escalation since then. Eve showed them everything, screenshots, doorbell footage, Jade's threats. One agent leaned back and said, domestic disputes escalating to federal crimes, that's our bread and butter. We'll be looking into Ms. Thompson. That night, Mark cracked. He started packing a bag, saying maybe he should just run home to Portland, leave all of this behind. His phone buzzed, Victoria. She'd heard whispers about his investor drama and offered coffee as friends. She mentioned she'd dealt with a stalker before. We begged him to go. He needed support. Friday morning they met in Dumbo. Victoria gave him the number of a security consultant and a harassment lawyer. She told him documentation and zero engagement had saved her. For the first time in days, Mark smiled. Friday afternoon, Rachel's mom called sobbing. Jade had stormed into their Queens restaurant during the lunch rush, screaming about food poisoning and threatening to call the health department. Customers fled. Rachel's elderly mom collapsed with chest pains from the stress. Her dad had to shut down and rush her to urgent care. That evening, the FBI went to Jade's apartment. Her roommate said she hadn't been home in 2 days, left with a suitcase. She'd been throwing things, ranting about how we'd all pay. We huddled at Madison's penthouse that night, rotating shifts to watch the security cameras. Nobody felt safe. Saturday morning, Dean reached out again. Screenshots from Jade, threats against him now. She even mentioned his daughter from a previous marriage. Dean filed his own police report that same day. Rachel dug deeper into the cloud backup. She found old therapy emails, a Dr. Smith recommending Jade continue treatment for adjustment disorder after a bad breakup. She went twice, then stopped responding. Sunday morning, the final blow hit. Mark's business partner texted him, their investors pulled out. All $2 million. Gone. His startup had 6 weeks of runway left. 3 years of building destroyed. While Mark stared hollow-eyed at his laptop, my boss called me in. She said she believed me, but the complaints and threats were too much. I was suspended for now. 4 years of work gone in a cardboard box. Eve's firm told her to work from home for safety. But we knew. She was radioactive. Promotion chances evaporated. Monday morning, Victoria called Mark again, offering to connect him with investors she knew. He actually smiled when he hung up. Madison was finally cleared at work, but co-workers whispered behind her back like she might snap. And then my phone rang. Eve screaming, they arrested her. The FBI just arrested Jade at Newark Airport. She tried to board a flight under her middle name. They charged her with making terroristic threats, cyberstalking, interstate harassment. Her mugshot was everywhere within hours. Mascara streaks. Wrinkled clothes. The FBI found everything on her laptop, receipts for fake review services, proof she hacked us, even that she used her company credit card to pay for it. Fired immediately. Dean called later saying he'd been subpoenaed. He revealed Jade had been plotting for weeks before the party, texting about how we'd pay for humiliating her. And now? She's facing charges that could change her life forever. Wednesday morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, I thought it was more spam, but when I opened Twitter, my blood ran cold. Jade's parents had hired a PR firm. And just like that, the internet was flooded with articles painting us as the villains. Mean girls destroy their friend over a simple mistake. That was the headline. They used our own Instagram brunch photos, framing us as spoiled, bored women with nothing better to do than ruin lives. The comments? Savage. Thousands of strangers tearing us apart. People saying we deserved everything Jade did to us. That same day, the prosecutor called an emergency meeting. She didn't sugarcoat it. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Jade's team will dig into everything, your jobs, your pasts, your families. Anything they can spin against you. And then Eve's firm called. They told her she needed to take extended leave until the trial was over. She agreed, but we all saw it in her eyes. Her career there was finished. Thursday morning, Victoria tried to give us some control back. She booked a self-defense class in Williamsburg with an instructor who had survived stalking herself. For 1 hour, we punched, kicked, broke holds. For once, we weren't helpless. But halfway through, Rachel broke down in tears. She admitted she hadn't eaten in restaurants in weeks because she felt too exposed. Panic attacks hit her daily. Her parents begged her to quit her job and move back to Queens. And for the first time, she was considering it. It hit all of us like a gut punch. Our friend group was unraveling. That afternoon, Mark's company announced their new funding. Tech blogs applauded. But Jade's defenders swarmed his social media, spamming death threats until he had to hire someone just to delete comments. At least the investor didn't back out. That was something. Friday morning, we gathered at Eve's kitchen table, mugs of cold coffee in front of us when her phone rang. Unknown number. It was Jade's lawyer. He'd filed a countersuit. $500,000 in damages. Claiming we'd conspired to destroy Jade's life on purpose. He even called the party reveal a planned humiliation. We had 30 days to respond. Which meant lawyers. Each of us needed our own. Mark did math on his phone, his face going pale. If I dip into company funds, I'll tank the startup. I had maybe $300 in savings. Rachel's parents whispered about mortgaging their restaurant. It made me want to vomit. This was exactly what Jade wanted. The prosecutor called later. It's desperation. She's trying to force a settlement. Drop her charges if you drop yours. Then the FBI agent rang. He sounded tired. Domestic cases always get messy like this. She's playing the victim perfectly. That evening, Victoria showed up at Mark's apartment. She placed a $10,000 check on the coffee table. He shook his head. I can't take this. Her voice was firm. It's a loan. If it were me, you'd do the same. They looked at each other, something shifting between them. When he finally hugged her, it wasn't pity anymore. It was real. That weekend, we all tried to act normal. Madison went on a date but checked her phone every 5 minutes. I taught my Pilates classes but kept scanning new clients, paranoid they might be Jade's plants. Rachel worked at her parents' restaurant but jumped at every slammed door. We were moving through life, but inside? We were broken. Week 4. Monday morning. Finally, good news. Dean's ex-wife turned over emails. Jade had explicitly written about wanting to psychologically destroy Mark, and all of us 3 weeks before the party. Timestamps and all. Proof this wasn't some reaction. It was premeditated. Then Jade's old roommate came forward. She'd found a hit list written on Jade's mirror. Our names. Our addresses. Our weaknesses. She'd taken photos before moving out because she was terrified. The police also seized Jade's journal. Pages of obsessive writing about Mark, about us, about revenge. Some entries dated back before the cheating even started. This wasn't humiliation turning her into a monster. This was who she'd always been. The prosecutor stacked on more charges. Jade now faced 5 to 10 years. Her lawyer demanded a psychiatric evaluation, leaning toward an insanity defense. The trial was set for 3 months out. 3 months of waiting, of fear. Weeks passed. Mark and Victoria made it official. He worried about optics, but she said, forget what people think. They went public at dinner one night, photographed laughing together. Online comments called it the upgrade of the century. For the first time in weeks, Mark smiled. My studio reinstated me after the fake reviews were traced to Jade's IP. My clients threw me a tiny welcome back party. My boss even apologized for doubting me. But just when things looked hopeful, Jade's parents cornered us outside a courthouse. Her mom was sobbing, clutching tissues. Her dad's hands shook as he wrote in a checkbook. We'll pay for everything. Damages, lawyers, whatever you need. She's sick. She needs help, not prison. Then he looked at me, stone cold, and said, You don't know what she's capable of if she feels cornered. The way he said it? My blood turned to ice. Inside, plea deals were laid on the table. Prosecutor, 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, mandatory psychiatric treatment. Defense, 6 months, counting time served. Neither side would budge. Trial was inevitable. That night, Rachel gathered us at Madison's. She twisted her hands and whispered, I'm moving back to Queens next week. I can't do this anymore. We hugged her. Said we understood. But it felt like Jade was still winning. Brunches had an empty chair now. Our group chat went quiet. Then a glimmer of hope, Eve landed 3 job offers. Firms impressed by how she handled herself through chaos. She accepted a senior associate role at a bigger firm, with better pay and benefits. At least one of us was rebuilding. But 2 days later, the news hit like a truck. Jade had tried to end her life in custody. She'd hoarded medication, faking compliance until she had enough. Guards found her unconscious. She survived, but barely. Her lawyer immediately filed motions for dismissal on grounds of mental incompetence. The prosecutor warned us, if this psychiatric evaluation goes her way, she could walk free. The emergency hearing was agonizing. The defense's psychiatrist testified Jade had borderline personality disorder with narcissistic traits, claiming she was in crisis mode. The prosecution's expert countered, she still knew right from wrong. After 3 hours, the judge ruled, treatment to continue, but charges stand. We breathed. Barely. Mark took the news hard. He admitted he once loved her and never wanted her dead, just gone. Victoria reminded him, her choices aren't your responsibility. She held him while he finally broke. But the media? They flipped overnight. Suddenly Jade was a victim, a woman driven to the edge by cruel friends. Think pieces everywhere about criminalizing mental illness. My Instagram filled with hate, strangers calling us monsters. The prosecutor warned, this will sway the jury. Week 8, Madison's CEO offered her a promotion as an apology. She accepted, but confided she no longer trusted them and was secretly interviewing elsewhere. Then came the gut punch. Jade's parents posted $200,000 bond. She was transferred to a psychiatric facility. Minimum security. Visitors allowed. The prosecutor looked furious. The jury will sympathize more than ever now. And just like that, the ground under us shifted again. We weren't safe. Not yet. Tuesday morning, we all gathered at Madison's place, slumped on her velvet couches, drained beyond words. Yes, Jade was in custody. But the damage? The damage was permanent. Mark's startup was circling the drain. I'd lost my job. Eve's career was tainted. Madison couldn't even look her co-workers in the eye anymore without wondering what they really thought of her. Madison finally said what we were all thinking, we won, but what did we actually win? Everything's still broken. Rachel's parents were preparing separate charges over the restaurant incident. Her mom still woke up in panic sweats, couldn't sleep. Their Yelp rating tanked from 4.8 to 3.2 overnight, and even though the fake reviews were eventually removed, the damage was done. Loyal customers never came back. By Wednesday, we were downtown at the courthouse, packed shoulder to shoulder with strangers waiting for their cases. Rachel's mom was trembling so badly her dad had to hold her steady just to get inside. When the bailiff called Jade's name, she walked in like it was an interview, navy suit, hair styled, posture straight. Not like someone facing a laundry list of crimes. Her parents sat front row. Her mom dabbed at her eyes with tissues. Her dad stared straight ahead, stiff and silent. The judge started reading the charges: harassment, making terroristic threats, criminal mischief, cyberstalking, and more. The list went on for nearly 5 minutes. And Jade? She whispered not guilty in this small, pathetic voice that didn't even sound like her. Her lawyer spun the story like she was the victim, claiming emotional distress, temporary insanity, betrayal by friends. He painted us as the villains. The prosecutor demanded no bail, but her lawyer pushed back, saying she wasn't a flight risk. Her parents slapped down $50,000 on the spot. The judge granted it with strict conditions: ankle monitor, no leaving the state, 0 contact with us. No calls, no texts, no showing up, no social media. Nothing. Still, the way Jade's eyes locked on us? Cold. Memorizing our faces. Like she was making a list for later. Outside, Eve recognized the lawyer, same guy who got a rich kid off on a passion-fueled assault case last year. His specialty? Making guilty people look like victims. And sure enough, he was already outside feeding soundbites to reporters. This young woman was emotionally destroyed by her so-called friend's cruel revenge plot. We may pursue damages. Thursday morning, everything blew up again. Someone leaked the holiday party videos to TikTok. Caption: cheating GF gets exposed at work party. 3 million views in 24 hours. Comments shredded her, but then people started hunting us. My Instagram? Flooded. Madison's LinkedIn? Fake connection requests. Eve's Twitter? A storm of harassment, accusing us of being mean girls who went too far. And then, someone dug up Jade's Pinterest. A wedding board. 400 pins. Updated for 2 years. Titled Future Mrs. Sullivan. Dresses. Venues. Flowers. A custom cake topper modeled after her and Mark. A Hamptons venue she'd already requested pricing for. And the worst? Pins added days before the party. Mark had to watch his entire future wedding, the one he never got, dissected by strangers online. That night Victoria came over with Thai food and wine. No empty promises, no it'll get better soon. She just listened. Then, softly, she told us her own story, about an ex who stalked her for 18 months. Moving twice. Changing her number 3 times. 2 years of fear. Her words hit heavy, healing happens. But not the way you think. You come out stronger but changed. Always changed. Friday afternoon my studio owner called. 3 clients had threatened to cancel if I wasn't reinstated. She offered me evening classes only. Not my schedule, not ideal, but I said yes instantly. I needed the work. I needed normal. That night, Mark's partner called. An angel investor had seen the whole saga online and wanted in. His daughter had survived a cheating ex and he wanted to help people who'd been through betrayal. He offered 6 months of funding for 40% equity. Mark had 48 hours to decide whether to take it or gamble for better. Saturday, Rachel's phone pinged with an Instagram DM. This isn't over. You destroyed my life. I have nothing left to lose. Signed by Jennifer 467. Rachel knew immediately. Jade. She'd said those exact words before. Screenshots went straight to the FBI. Within 2 hours, they traced the IP to Jade's parents' house. Arrest warrant issued. Sunday morning, Jade walked back into court with her lawyer and her parents. This time, the judge was done playing. The prosecutor presented the Instagram evidence. Violation of court order. Bail revoked. Her mom sobbed. Her dad practically carried her out. And Jade, as they cuffed her, looked us dead in the eye and mouthed, F***you. Asterisk. That night, we sat in Madison's apartment in silence. No champagne. No relief. Because even with Jade locked up, the damage was everywhere. Mark admitted his doctor had put him on antidepressants. He couldn't sleep, panic attacks hitting every night. Eve confessed she was in therapy twice a week since the restaurant attack. Rachel was considering moving home to California because her parents begged her, terrified New York wasn't safe. And me? I still jumped every time my phone buzzed. Madison had 3 new deadbolts and a security system worth more than my rent. What started as revenge for Mark had twisted into something darker. A war. And even though Jade lost, none of us felt like we won. The victory tasted like ash. Monday morning we found ourselves in a cold courthouse conference room. The prosecutor walked in, dragging 3 boxes of evidence. She stacked the charges against Jade one by one. If convicted on all counts, 2 to 5 years minimum. But then came the gut punch. Jade's lawyer was already pushing a plea deal. Counseling. Probation. That's it. After everything she'd done. I felt sick. Eve buried herself in research that afternoon, digging into Dr. Smith, Jade's old therapist. His publications were all on personality disorders, narcissism, manipulation. Confidentiality laws kept us from seeing the records, but it was enough to make us wonder what Jade had really been dealing with. Tuesday, Mark called from Victoria's office. He was signing the investor deal, even though giving up 40% felt like ripping out his own heart. Victoria sat beside him, red pen in hand, rewriting clauses, protecting him from every hidden trap. The way she looked at him, the way he started to relax around her, it didn't go unnoticed. That same day, Dean's ex-wife called. Jade had contacted her weeks earlier, asking disturbing questions about Dean's daughter. School schedules. Where she lived. The ex-wife saved everything, texts, voicemails, and said she'd testify. Piece by piece, the truth was clear. This wasn't a random meltdown. It was planned. Calculated. Weeks in the making. 2 weeks later, the prosecutor called us into her downtown office. The conference table was buried under folders, highlighters, and legal pads. She spread them out like evidence in a crime show. Printed screenshots of our group chat. The party planning texts. The videos we'd posted online. Even our celebratory messages afterward. This is what they'll use against you, she said flatly, tapping each sheet. Jade's lawyer will frame you as the villains. You planned a humiliation. You filmed it. You celebrated it. They'll argue you drove her to this. Then she made us practice. For 3 hours she drilled us on staying calm under cross-examination. No reactions. No eye rolls. No matter what. That night, none of us slept. Mark texted me at 3 a.m., saying he was having nightmares. Eve was burying herself in 14-hour workdays. Madison was emptying wine bottles faster than usual. And me? I finally called my old therapist. Because even though Jade was locked up, the trauma was still gnawing at us. Week 9. Victoria texted our group chat, Hamilton. Dinner after. No Jade talk. So we did it. For 3 hours we sat in a theater, ate overpriced candy at intermission, laughed at the songs. At dinner we talked about work, dating apps, stupid roommate stories. It felt forced but also necessary. Pretending to be normal, even for one night. Then Eve's private investigator dropped a bomb. He'd found Tyler. A kid from Jade's college days. Same pattern. She cheated, he tried to break up, she went nuclear. Harassment, threats, lies about abuse. He transferred schools just to escape her. When the prosecutor heard, she nearly leapt out of her chair. Tyler agreed to testify. 5 years later, still in therapy. Still broken. His testimony wasn't just relevant, it was pattern evidence. This changes everything, the prosecutor kept saying. Week 10, pre-trial motions. Jade's lawyer fought to exclude Tyler, arguing it was prejudicial. After 2 hours, the judge ruled Tyler could testify but only about facts. The moment that ruling came down, Jade turned from the defense table and smiled at us. It made my skin crawl. Jury selection dragged 3 days. Jade's team tried for young women sympathetic to mental illness. The prosecution fought for older jurors who valued accountability. They grilled everyone on social media, mental health views, even cheating experiences. Anyone who'd seen the party videos was dismissed. Finally, 12 jurors. Clean slate. Day 1 of trial. Jade's lawyer went first, spinning her as a bright young woman whose untreated illness spiraled after our calculated cruelty. Then the prosecutor stood. Calm. Precise. She laid out the timeline, the escalation, Tyler's pattern, every receipt. She made it clear these weren't breakdowns. These were choices. We testified over 2 brutal days. Jade's lawyer hammered us with screenshots of our group chat, the viral video, our laughter afterward. But we stuck to facts. Just like the prosecutor trained us. Then Tyler took the stand. The gallery actually gasped at parts of his story. Jade even cried, but it looked rehearsed. Crocodile tears for the jury. Closing arguments ended. The jury went out. We waited in the courthouse cafeteria, nerves shredded. 6 hours of pacing, cold coffee, silent prayers. When the foreman finally stood in court and read guilty on all major counts, Jade's mother let out a wail so raw it echoed. Her father glared at us like he wanted to burn holes through our skulls. Jade? She just nodded. Like she knew this was coming. 2 weeks later, sentencing. The judge handed down 30 months in minimum security, with psychiatric treatment, plus 5 years probation. No contact with us. Ever. Jade muttered a flat sorry, like she was reciting a grocery list. Her mom sobbed uncontrollably. Her dad's face was stone. And just like that, it was over. Or so we thought. A week later, our lawyer told us Jade's parents dropped the civil suit, too expensive to fight both criminal and civil battles. We could have countersued, but none of us had the energy. A month later, we met for brunch at our old Brooklyn spot. Rachel took the subway in from Queens. The conversation was different now, therapy appointments, coping strategies. We weren't the same people who used to laugh there every Sunday. But we were survivors, scarred but alive. Mark's startup thrived with the new investor. Victoria became CMO. He admitted he still kept Jade's ring in his sock drawer but was working through it in therapy. Eve's new firm put her on partner track. Madison jumped to a competitor as VP. I opened my own studio in Park Slope. Rachel ran the restaurant with her parents, reviving it with a cocktail menu that had lines out the door. 3 months after the trial, a news alert popped up, Jade's appeal denied. Full 30 months. No early release. I stared at the notification, then deleted it. No emotion left. Just closure. Mark proposed to Victoria on the Brooklyn Bridge. A brand new ring. We were all there, hiding behind tourists crying happy tears. For once, a video of them went viral for the right reasons. 6 months later, Madison's birthday. Loud Italian place in the West Village. Eve was laughing about a nightmare date. Then a woman at the next table turned, and for a second, she looked just like Jade. The table went dead silent. Rachel lifted her glass and said, F*** it. Who cares? Asterisk. We all toasted. Scarred. Changed. But still us. The city finally felt like home again. Man, this one was a ride. If you've been here the whole way through, thank you. Don't forget to like the video. It helps way more than you think. If you enjoyed today's drama, just imagine what's waiting in the next one. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go find the next train wreck together. Thanks for watching.